I am Dr. Mitch Harlan, and welcome to the Truth Talks podcast. I'm Dr. Mitch Harlan, and welcome to the Truth Talks podcast. I'm here with Josh Blue.
What's up, Doc?
Matt, did you know you were born a comedian?
Yeah, I did actually.
That's what Wikipedia says, too.
That's what it says, huh? I definitely look funny.
So you were born in Cameroon.
Cameroon, West Africa, yep.
Give me a little bit of that, because we're going to start out by kind of figuring out how you end up becoming the big comedian you are, and then we're going to ask you a bunch of kind of random questions.
Perfect.
We're just going to kind of go down that whole thing, because you're actually famous, like really famous.
Weird, right?
It is.
I always forget, and then I go outside, and people are like, "Hey, Josh," I'm like, "Do I know you?" Hey.
Actually, one of my favorites was one that you did in 2008, talking about being famous, and half the people were like, "Can I have your autograph?" And the other was like, "Hey, you need to get your ass away from me."
Get away from me, you drunk ass. But either way, I asked for $1. So.
I love that. This is one of my fun. I was telling producer Chad, I said, this is one of the most fun podcasts I've ever done, because doing the research on this was just nothing but fun, man.
Right.
Comedy is like, it brings everyone together.
Yeah, I mean, I found that it's the last, honest place of, you can say the truth, but it's really actually, you don't even know that you're learning something.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to that, because there's a lot of talk around where comedians are having to change up everything because of the culture stuff that we're kind of dealing with today.
Sure.
But I'm gonna hit you on all that too. Let's get to, you're born in Africa.
Go back to Africa.
Let's go back to Africa.
Yeah, so my dad was a professor. My dad speaks tons of languages, 13 languages, and he got a 2-year Fulbright scholarship, and he was teaching English in Cameroon. Then I just happened along. I guess the African nights are long. I showed up. They weren't really expecting me, I don't think. It was the accident.
Is that what you are, the accident?
I'm pretty convinced that I'm the accident, man. I mean, I got 3 older siblings, and my closest one's 5 years away. So I think that I slipped through.
You're in good company. I have a 10-year-old brother and an 8-year-old brother. That was an accident too.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Accidents always seem to do good things.
Yeah.
That's how that ends up happening.
Yeah, that's great. I'm happy happy accident.
So we're going to talk too about Cameroon, though, being there. That actually kind of spawned your excitement for soccer.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So I was very little when I was in Cameroon. I left when I was maybe 2, not even, and then.
So you probably weren't that good at soccer then.
Not yet, But it was in my household, and my family was a soccer family. And then Cameroon made the World Cup in '89 or something. And, and it was a big deal at our house, and they kept advancing. I think we were the only fans in America for Cameroon.
And you literally did play in the Paralympics.
Yeah, so long ride for sure getting there. I didn't even know about the Paralympics till after college, which kind of bums me out, because if I think I had known about it earlier in my life, I would have been able to participate and be even better.
You're an interesting guy. As I was doing the research, I found out you're into art.
Yep.
You do that. You obviously the love of soccer.
Yep.
I saw some axe throwing. I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah,
What is
man.
it? Survivalist.
I should have brought some, man. Definitely a survivalist for sure, man.
Is that the look you're going for?
No, this is just part of the comedian, being born a comedian.
I noticed that when I was looking at Wikipedia. I'm like, he was born a comedian. I'm like, well, hell, I mean, how hard of a decision that is? You were already born one.
Right, yeah, just
Makes it kinda
easy fit.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I was born a comedian. That's what I want to do.
Move right into it, yeah.
So, obviously you became famous in The Last Comic Standing.
Sure, that was in '06, and yeah, man, that definitely was my skyrocket trip that I got to take. But I've been working at stand-up. I studied stand-up in college, actually, so I got credit for doing it, and then moved in pretty seamlessly from college. Only a couple, maybe a year and a half of a day job out of college, and then quit that and became a full-time comedian.
You know, I got a buddy of mine who his kid, which I really respect this. His kid's like 12 or 13 years old, and he goes down somewhere and he does some stand-up comedy. And, you know, it's always, everybody kind of sees you when you're famous, but I don't think a lot of people know what it takes to get there.
There's a lot of work for sure. A lot of gigs in Cheyenne and, you know, doing Green River. You know, you're like, oh, boy, I don't know. I played
Green River, Utah?
There's different Green Rivers. I played like 5 Green Rivers. It's all over.
Green River, Utah. Every time we go through there, I'm like, oh, man, there's some missing chromosomes here.
Dude, I'm telling you, they all come to the show, all 7 of them. I'm telling you, man, I've done shows where there's like 7 people in the audience, and they're not fans.
Is it harder to do it when there's less of a crowd?
Yeah, I'd rather play in front of thousands than 3 people.
Yeah.
I've done shows where it was, I think the least I've ever done was 5 audience members.
That's a legit question, though, right?
There was like more staff members than there were fucking audience members. So.
But that's a legit question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear people say that.
For sure, yeah.
You feed off that energy?
I mean, with comedy what I do depends on your reaction. Like, I always say there's no more, like, alone thing you can do. Like, with the music, you can hide behind your guitar or you can play a song. With comedy, it's your brain versus the audience. And if you fuck up one time, it's pretty hard to come back from that.
Or if the joke doesn't necessarily fit into the demographic of which you're in.
Well, and my thing is I kind of find what you're not into and then I really cram it down your throat.
Which is the best, right?
Yeah.
That's the gift.
You need to hear this shit.
That's the gift of comedy, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I was like, a comedy for me is like, it shouldn't be funny, the shit you're saying, but the way you say it is not only funny, but educational.
Yeah, it makes it funny. And I think people heal that way.
Yeah.
Humor's the best way.
Well, people really, I think what I do in my shows, I'm all too happy to throw myself under the short bus for your entertainment. But I think people can really relate to that because, my humble opinion, everybody has a disability of some sorts. And the fact that I'm capable of not giving a fuck about it, right. People like that.
And making money.
Yeah, well, making money is nice.
There's nothing wrong with that either. But you're not in Green River anymore. Now you hit the big time.
Thank God. Thank God.
Let's talk about the Super Bowl. Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, is that the comedian's absolute pinnacle?
Man, obviously the Tonight Show has a lot of weight to it. And like back in the day, if you were on there and you did well, that was your career. All of a sudden you're skyrocketed. Now it doesn't have quite as much oomph to it, but there's still that like, when I finally made that, I was like, okay, I'm legit.
I'm legit.
You know, I had already won Last Comic and has specials and shit, but that one I was like, yeah, I'm a legit comic.
Did you prepare a special skit just for the Tonight Show?
It was a joke that I have been working in my show, and I don't think anybody. They told me I was the first comic to directly talk about weed on the Tonight Show, and I didn't do a bunch of jokes. I did one story for my 5 minutes, and not too many people have done that either. But I'll tell you, it's so weird. Like I don't try to get nervous for shit. Like, I do thousands of shows. I always just kind of say, like, even the Tonight Show, it's just another show
right.
that I'm going to do. And I've not eaten shit too hard on any of them, so why would this one be the one? But so I'd been pretty calm all day preparing for the Tonight Show. And then I'm standing backstage, and there's a monitor on the screen right behind the curtain, and it shows the set of the Tonight Show. And I was like, oh, the Tonight Show. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then the curtain's open, and I walk out like, here we go.
You know, I got a lot of stuff prepared, but we're just going to jump all over because that's what I love about this. I love the comedian, the spontaneity. But, yeah, do you I mean, what goes through your mind at the time? Are you like, oh man, what if I forget all my shit? Has that ever happened?
It's really. So I don't write anything down. I've never written any jokes down. I just released my 5th hour special, and I've never like written a set list down. I mean, in the beginning I did,
Yeah.
but I found that doesn't do shit for me. Like you just said, the spontaneity of the thing. I think that's what keeps it fresh. Is that they come up and I'm like, oh, here's the moment, feeding off the audience.
Yeah.
I'm in transition right now because I just released a special, and I'm getting, once you release something, I try to just get rid of that material, but obviously I can't just drop my whole hour of material because I have to cover the time. So now I'm in this real flexible spot of like putting new jokes in and trying to weed the old ones out. So.
Oh man, I have so many questions about material. Where do you typically find it? Is it just everyday life?
Yeah, I mean, my show is me. Like I'm just talking about my life and my experiences, and I'm a random shit magnet, so I just attract like crazy people, and people are just drawn to me, and I've always been able to like go with whatever situation, so it kind of makes it more fun for me too, But things just come up. I mean, having kids helps. The latest joke that we worked on is when I die, I don't want to be cremated, but I do want my ashes. Let me start over. When I die, I don't want to be cremated, but I do want my remains to be scattered. Like in a wood chipper. Like, oh, he loved this mall. Like,
I often wondered that. Like, to me, that's impressive as shit because I'm sitting there thinking, so even sometimes doing a show like this, you're like, okay, I have this line I want to go down, right? And you like kind of forget.
Right.
And I'm one-on-one and I got an editor. When you're up there on stage, it's like, it's the
No,
real
I
deal.
hope you show them that I fucked it up. Because, honestly,
Oh,
that's
we will.
a very new joke. And, to me, I was excited to say it, so I got ahead of myself. But it's like, that's the process. And then, here's the crazy thing. I'll tell that on stage. Even if I fuck it up, I'm going to try it again the next day because I fucked it up. You know what I mean?
Well, sometimes there's comedy in that, too.
Oh, yeah. I'm the master of just being able to play off of my own fuck-ups, And,
Is that half the show?
yeah, I think so. I mean, it really is. And I've created this character on stage that can get away with that sort of shit and just be. I've straight up just asked the audience, does anybody remember what I was talking about?
Wait, so persona is definitely in this questioning. So, most people have a persona, right? But I've known you, I've met you off camera, and it's the same persona. So
Yeah, I'm very fortunate in that fact. There's not much work behind it. I was born a comedian, remember?
That's right. You were born a comedian by Wikipedia standards.
Right, so this is all making sense. You really questioned that in the beginning, but really true, right?
It's the real deal.
I do very little preparing for my shows,
How do you decide what you're going to put on that night?
I always said this, if I ever, put some effort into this, I could be really good. You know what, honestly, unless it's a specific show, the Tonight Show or
Right.
or maybe a corporate event where I can't do my normal set. I put very little thought into what I'm going to say.
You just get up there and wing it.
Right. Maybe
Holy hell.
beforehand I'll just go, oh, the new joke about scattering your ashes. And then try to remember that shit, and then, but that I found a lot of that goes back to me talking about the transition period that I'm in after the special's been filmed. Now, if there's ever a lull in my show, that's me in my head going, okay, don't say that old joke. I know you have a new joke somewhere in here. Where is that fucking joke? But it's been fun with that, being able to play that sort of character. It's fun.
Well, it works.
And silence, I've been enjoying silence on stage. It's really can be awkwardly fun. What I'll do is if somebody goes to the bathroom, I'll be like, hey, you want me to wait? And then they'll go to the bathroom and I just won't say shit the whole time they're gone. And it gets like, it gets laughs through the whole thing, but I don't say shit, you know?
And that's just random. It just
just
pops in your head like,
random.
I'm not going to talk until they get back.
Right.
Yeah, what if they're taking a dump and it's like 30 minutes?
Oh, I've done it where the person never fucking came back. I was like, God damn it, okay, all right, I guess I gotta go. Like, did they die? Like, what happened? It's so bad.
But that's the thing about comedians, so witty, right? Like did the guy die? I mean, I'm sure that came out of your mouth.
I think he did.
So it wasn't so funny.
No, not quite as funny when we found out the truth. No, it's just, you know, I like hecklers too. Like, it sounds weird, and I don't want to admit that on your podcast because then everyone will come out with their fucking cannons loaded. But I don't know. Like, I have tried and true jokes that I know are gonna work, but I also love to show you that anything you throw at me, I will verbally bitch slap you so hard.
That's a comedian gift, though.
Well, that's the other thing. Because I like those moments where I can play with the crowd.
Yeah.
I've gotten to a point where I had to go physically, like, okay, sit down and go, all right, man, don't attack the audience. They're just going to the bathroom. Like, just let them have their... Because I would want you to heckle me so bad that as soon as you do anything, what the fuck are you doing? Didn't know I could hear you, did you? I'm like, sorry, man. Sorry, I was just ordering my food that I'm supposed to do here, you know?
Do you ever get thrown off by that, though?
By...
Are you just so on the ball? So if somebody throws something out at you that's kind of... Although I guess if you're winging it, it wouldn't.
I can think of maybe 2 times where someone said something and I just had nothing to say because it was so good what they said. I was like, all right, do you win that round, you know? Like... But for the most part, I'm locked and loaded and ready to snap back.
Yeah. What do you like? I mean, obviously, when people go to comedy shows, a lot of people, me maybe, and for instance, like, you know, you have the 2-drink minimum.
Yeah.
I take that as a challenge, right?
Yeah. Well,
do you
2.
like people who really are wickedly engaging, get a good buzz, and just laughing their ass off? Does that feed your energy?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you have a few drinks, you loosen up. If you think about the setup of a comedy club, you're tight packed in a room of strangers that normally you wouldn't let your guard down hard enough to like laugh till you snort. You know, like you're not gonna willingly snort in front of a room full of strangers, but you have a drink or two, then you kind of fall into the pattern.
You know what I always see in the real successful comedians like yourself is they have this persona and their entire skit goes around it. Like we're talking about, you know, you talk about your condition and different things and just, you know what I mean, it just goes right down that line. It's so funny, right? You got Ron White. I don't know if he's really an alcoholic, but it sure seems like it. The guy's got a drink.
Yeah.
But he plays that perfect, right?
Yeah.
It like goes right in his comedy.
Right, and exactly, like he can fuck up a line and be like, oh, better put this down, you know? Like, I've toured with Ron 50 plus times. I was his opener, like solid opener for a while, and it was a pretty amazing experience to open for someone of that level. And when I first started opening for him, this is really cool. His sister like came up and was like, Ron told me he's scared to follow you. And I'm like, good. Like, I'm coming for your job, Ron. And then we just grew closer and closer. And I'm like, listen, dude, you're Ron fucking White. They're here to see you. I'm just warming them up for you, you know? So I'll tell you a fun Ron White story. So unfortunately, his business manager was his best friend since elementary school, and he got the cancer and passed pretty quick. And right at that time was when I was coming in and starting to tour with Ron, so I kind of like got to fill this void for Ron during his hard time of losing his best friend.
Yeah.
And we were at this big venue, big theater. he's very generous. He invites me into his dressing room, and he's like, anything in here you can have, just whatever food. And then there's a 6-pack of Budweisers on ice. And I'm like, oh, that's my beer, and I politely don't drink any, I'm waiting for someone to have one, see who's going to have it. Nobody has one, so I do my set. I have one. Ron's on, I have another one. And I'm on beer 6. And Ron comes off stage, and he walks by my dressing room, and there's all the empty beer bottles around. And he goes, looks like we found somebody to drink Steve's beer. And Steve was his buddy that passed away, and it was like his shrine. And I fucking drank his shrine of beer.
I didn't know where you were going when you started that story. I'm thinking, God, I'm already kind of starting to laugh a little bit. But I had to assume it was going to come out.
Yeah. I drank the fucking shrine of beer, and I was like, what? I did what? And then the next night, we're at another venue, and there's 6 beers. I was like, hey, Ron, is it bad that now that I know there's a shrine, if I still drink them all? And he's like, no, those are yours now.
That is a great story. Who do you find, like, who is your just a comedian you just can't go without?
There's obviously a lot of influences. I've always been a huge Chris Rock fan. Chris Rock, to me, is the ultimate stand-up comedian. His material, his performance, he's like the epitome of what a stand-up is. Whereas, like, a Dave Chappelle is like an entity. He's like something beyond this world. He can just talk about anything. It's not like stand-up per se. It's funny as fuck, but It's not like jokes. He has jokes, but he can do anything he fucking wants.
You hear that all the time. Everybody's like, Dave Chappelle is this he's like this god of.
It's not normal.
Yeah,
it's not normal. I've been into a lot of Carlin lately. Just George Carlin to me is just so fucking smart, and I wish he was alive today so I could just hear his perspective on this world.
How much has comedy changed from the Richard Pryors down to now?
I think the craft is still the same. I think the world around it and the stuff we can talk about has changed. Not can talk about, but we have the option to talk about. That's what I love about stand-up is I realized very early that I'll never learn everything. Like, I can get a really good base of how stand-up works, but it's constantly evolving, and what's funny changes.
But as a comedian, you can't walk out on stage ever and be like, ooh, I can't say that.
I feel like there are some things that I wouldn't go into. The key to that I've always found is you can pretty much say anything you fucking want as long as it's funny. I try not to be offensive in my show. I don't try to degrade anybody in particular, any group or race. I definitely, like I said, I throw myself under the bus.
Yeah.
So that gives me a bit of leeway to dive into other people's problems.
Well, and again, it's just so authentic, right? And I think that's what you see with all these comedians. Another thing about comedians that it just always blows my mind. Comedians are always the most sought after with talk shows, with entertainment, everything.
Not me, but
well, yeah.
I don't know who you've been talking to, but
So where does it go for you? The big tours?
That would be the ultimate. I won Last Comic when I was 26 years old. That's a very young age to hit that sort of pinnacle.
Yeah.
And I was realistic, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be damn hard to top this in a career. I've done so many things, specials and all that, but winning that national TV show, like NBC, everybody fucking watched it, like millions and millions and millions of people, So after that, I rode the wave for like 2.5 years of playing theaters. I was already playing those theaters, but the less you're exposed, the more you kind of slide down into playing clubs. And I like playing clubs. I mean, it's more intimate and fun, and
Yeah.
and I can really interact with everyone. But theaters would be fun again too, you know.
Of course, you've had your own, your own special. And did you like doing that, or do you get more comfortable when you're in a theater type situation?
I mean, I've done 5 specials now.
Yeah.
So, specials are always weird. Like I said before, I just try to look at it like another show. You just gotta make sure you get all the jokes this time. I don't necessarily like filming specials. It's not terrible, but
That feeding off that energy of a crowd, though, is your gig.
yeah. I mean, I just do it. I don't know. I've said this about like people like, oh, where's your favorite place to perform? And honestly, anywhere the crowd is there to laugh. I don't care. We could fill this fucking room up right now, and I could really enjoy this.
Yeah.
So there's lots of fun ways. Some of my best shows have been in a barn. Like fucking just doesn't.
Winging. Yeah. What about Josh? Who's Josh Blue outside of the stage? Are you the same guy?
Well, same jackass, but a lot more responsibilities. I got 2 kids, so being a dad, I got 50% custody. So,
yeah.
This last year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean.
That was probably unexpected, wasn't it?
No, she tried to give me 100%. I was like, fuck that. We're negotiating down to 50-50.
So you're a good negotiator along with comedians.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. I ain't trying to have them all the time. That's insane. It's fucking insane, bro.
So what? I mean, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a comedian. You're sitting on your couch at night. You see something funny and you think, oh shit, I gotta incorporate that.
Well, minus the sitting on the couch. It's more of like being in the world and having some shit happen or hanging out with people. I love to write with my friends. It's not even, they don't even know we're writing, but we're just like joking about something and then like it'll catch and then you're like, oh, what if we, you just keep one-upping each other and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's a joke.
God, and I know one of your best friends and he's not that funny. I mean, so do you have other friends?
I got much funnier friends.
Okay, that's good. That helps.
Yeah, it does.
Where do you say you get your best material from? Is it just thoughts that randomly come to your head or sitting there talking with your friends? Is that where you come up with the majority of your stuff?
It's hard to nail that down really because it's there's so many avenues it comes in at. My daughter will say something where I'm like, oh, that's like, she's like, Dad, would it be annoying if I had a twin? I was like, well, one of you is annoying, so yes.
2 of you would be annoying. Where's your absolute favorite place to play?
Comedy Works, downtown Denver.
And that's home.
It's my home club, but it's also, I just happened to like move to Denver at the beginning of my career and move into the best club in the country. It's pretty cool to call that home.
Is there any that you're like, oh man, I don't know if I want to go down there besides Green River?
Sure, there's a few clubs that I'm not like, for some reason I fucking hate Hartford. Ugh. I don't know what.
What's the lifestyle of a comedian? What's travel look like when you're in the middle of heyday?
Well, I mean, obviously things are a bit different right
Obviously
now.
with COVID.
But before I was doing 200 shows a year, and I've been doing that for like plus 15 years. And then, so 200 shows a year, I'm flying on average every 3 days, something like that.
Man.
Maybe every 4 days, but still a lot.
No kidding. Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that much.
So just a human ping pong ball, just, go there, fly. And I always come home to Denver. So it's like, go to Hartford, come back home, then you go to Miami, and then you go to, it's like all over.
Do you usually perform 1 or 2 nights and then you come back home?
It's usually 3 nights.
3
or
nights?
2 nights.
Yeah.
I've worked it down to 2. I'm like, I'll do 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday.
And obviously, as big as you are now, you probably have a team of people that manage and do all the stuff you got to do.
Yeah, and I've actually had this team since I won Last Comic. So, agent, manager, business manager, all kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate where I don't have to like physically book the gigs, and my manager gets them and then he brings them to me, and he even just weeds out the bullshit before. He's like, I didn't even tell you about that one, you know, like. So I've been, even in these times, I'm working pretty much as I want to be.
Well, what about, I mean, obviously, we obviously have to talk a little bit about COVID. I mean, that obviously changed all the stage stuff.
Sure.
Did you take that time to do new material, or what'd you do?
Well, it's funny. People are like, oh, you must have so much new material. And I was like, well, it turns out 2020, not so funny.
There's a lot of
A lot of shit going on. No, I mean, I definitely had some quarantine jokes. My first one I came up with was, this quarantine got me back to a lot of my childhood activities, playing board games and doing puzzles and crying. Just a lot of crying.
Is that, I mean, obviously that's where all your money comes from.
Yeah, I mean,
That had to suck ass a little bit.
well, I've been very fortunate in the fact that I'm a frugal guy, so I've never been really flashy with, no watches or nothing, I've always just saved up, and I was always just like, I've seen too many people in the news that are like, this NFL player is broke, and this person, like, you had millions and millions, and you're fucking broke. So I've always just tried to live well within my means, and I do have like property, like in the mountains and stuff. That's what I spend my money on is land.
Yeah.
For hiking and throwing axes.
I saw that. I thought that was great, actually. And it wasn't just an axe, it was a homemade axe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'm not fucking around with none of that store-bought bullshit.
Well, it looked like a metal pole and a end of a butcher knife, and you did some rigging on this shit.
Yeah, we rigged it up good, and it's.
I want to know a little bit about the celebrityness of it too, though. So when you are flying and around, do a lot of people come up to you, or?
Yeah, it's very recognizable, man. They have a very distinctive gait, so. I can be wearing a mask, and people are like, "Hey, Josh," I mean, here's how recognizable I am. One time I was walking on the streets of San Francisco, and a blind guy recognized me. He fucking heard my voice. He's like, "Josh Blue." What?
I about pissed myself watching this one show where you were talking about being in a mall, and there was a guy with a palsy walking in front of you.
Yeah, that really happened.
Did that really happen?
Yeah. He's walking in front of me. It's like, there's a palsy guy. That's cool. And then, like, people were like, hey, you're an asshole for making fun of that guy. I'm like, I'm just walking the same direction.
I mean, that actually happened.
Yes.
That's the best. I mean, how do you ever forget that
That's
material?
what I'm telling you. That's where my material comes from. That shit genuinely happens to me.
Oh my God, that was one of my absolute favorites. What's new? What would you do different? Are you just going to keep pounding away at the touring and stuff for the next few years, or what you got planned?
Well, obviously the Corona thing has been different, but I think it's genuinely changed my perspective on not wanting to do 200 shows anymore.
That's what I wondered.
So I'm like, I've actually like really enjoyed this time off and being home and not killing myself on the road, and I can still work. And I mean, even going out twice a month would be fine compared to like 4 times a month.
Yeah, it's just...
So I think it's nice to like have that reflection of being like, hey, I don't have to kill myself anymore. I'm doing financially okay, and if I can maintain this level, I can ride this shit out for a while.
Dude, it's just the best, man. I mean, we talk about kind of the way the world is today, and there is nothing better in comedy. It brings everybody together, and people take themselves too damn serious all the freaking
everybody
time.
needs to laugh, man. It's so needed, and it's one of the only escapes I feel like anymore. Like when you're at my show, you're laughing from when I walk on to when I walk off, and you don't have a chance to even think about anything else but what I'm shoving down your throat, And so, yeah, I think it's pretty amazing way to make a living and way to go through life and make people happy.
So needed, man. I mean, And again, I'm kind of easily entertained with magic, with comedy, and all of that stuff. But it just seems like everybody leaves there a better person, just every time.
Yeah, I agree. There's not too many times people leave a club not smiling. Maybe they're not smiling because it hurts to physically smile after the show. Oh, God, I can't do it anymore.
It's just the absolute best.
Thanks, man. Well, like I said, I really enjoyed making people laugh. It's weird because, like, laughing, you said, just feels so fucking good,
Yeah.
right? But making people laugh, too, to me is the same sort of, it just feels good.
It's a natural high.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever done a show sober?
No. No, you know what? Nah.
Even the Tonight Show?
No, was high for that. For sure. You know, I can do a sober show. I do them every once in a while. And you know what's really funny is when I do one where I'm not high, it goes by so fucking fast. I'm like, I'm already done. That was so easy. That was so easy. Like, I always say, like, I smoke high to just try to make it as hard on myself as fucking possible. What was I saying? It's the fucking digging deep. Like,
Have you ever went one hit too many and your brain kind of collapses? Is that the 3-hour show?
You know, I've smoked a lot of weed on stage. On stage, too. I'm sure there was a few times. Oh, I took an edible. And then I just went blank for a little while. And then like to the point where the club was like, okay, get someone else up there. And then the other comic ran on stage, and as soon as they hit the stage, I was like, just kidding, fucker. And then I just fucking like went right back into it and like turned back on. I was like, I don't know.
Was that planned or that actually happened?
That really
Brain
happened,
just
man.
turned back on.
It just turned back on, and as soon as they jumped on the stage, I was like, what are you doing, you fuck? Just fucking with you.
Oh my God, that is the absolute best. I've always wondered that, you know, I mean, there is such an art to it, such an art to that, and it's just a gift, man. And people that are just funny and comedians like yourself, it's just a damn gift. So do you tailor any of your stuff to demographics of wherever you're at? Like if you're in the Midwest, do you?
Sure. I mean, I like to play off of a room and like to play off of a town. So if I know your town and you have, you know, a simple thing is like your cobblestones or, you know,
Right.
like, oh, fucking good for palsy, cobblestones, you know. It's just like, you can just play off of one little thing that relates to their town, and then people just like adhere to you because they're like, he knows our town, you know?
Right.
So if you can show some knowledge of where you're at, people love that shit.
So if you look around for a city you're in, you look for a cobblestone street because that one's going to be a killer every time.
Oh, you know, I can make fun of pretty much any fucking thing you want me to. So.
Denver's got to be easy, right? With pot.
Oh yeah, well the big blue horse and the blue bear, Josh Blue. Why do you think they made all that shit? Right. That's to honor me, bro.
And they're all sitting there.
Yeah. Nothing.
Oh my God.
Nothing would honor me more than a big demonic horse.
Right, with red eye.
Yeah, fucking terrifying.
Oh my God. Josh Blue, I tell you what, man, I cannot tell you how much we appreciate True Talks you coming on. We contacted every comedian we could find, and you're the one that agreed.
The last one that would do it.
Yeah, so we
Dane
can't
Cook
tell you.
was available, huh?
It was just, I've seen your shows. I love your shows. I want you to tell people how, when, and where they can find you.
Oh, sure. So my latest special is on Amazon Prime, and actually 4 of my other specials. So that's mainly a spot people can go to. But, you know, I'm on YouTube, Josh Blue Tube, we call it. And, and then also Instagram, just Josh Blue Comedy. And any other fucking place, really.
Anywhere you can find me,
Probably
type it in, Google it.
Just see me stumbling down the street and say hi, you know?
I tell you what, brother, I appreciate you coming on so much. I guess can't even tell you how awesome it is to be able to see you really real here, getting to know you. I've watched all your show. You make me laugh. You make it crazy.
Thanks,
I
man.
appreciate every bit of this, man.
Well, thanks for having me on, bro.
Absolutely,
I appreciate
man.
it. This is fun.
Appreciate it.
I like your basement.